Everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and welcome to the Wasteland Spotlight here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network. This is my monthly show where my guest in residency, Patrice, and I discuss a quartet of movies with some type of theme. Patrice, thank you so much, as always, for coming on and talking some movies with me.
I'm just glad you keep letting me subject you to the whims of my fancies.
Well, the Whims took us in a fun direction for sure for this month's episode, as we are looking at some animated short introductions. So, some iconic characters were introduced in some fun Disney animated short films. And today we're going to be talking about Mickey's Review from 1932, where Goofy made his debut. 1938's Donald's Nephews, where Huey, Dewey, and Louie made their debuts. 1943's Private Pluto. It's not Pluto that debuted, it's Chip and Dale, causing all kinds of mayhem. And 1968's Winnie the Pooh and the Blustery Day, where we get Tigger 2. So this will be a particularly fun one. Some of these we might not have a ton to say about them, so they're a
Yeah.
little they're short and not exactly the most complex of stories. But let's start with Mickey's Review, where Mickey Mouse conducts an orchestra, while the rest of Disney menagerie of the era provides a dance recital with Horace Horsecollar as stage manager and Pluto continually sneaking on stage. But Patrice, what are your general thoughts on Mickey's Review?
I like this time period in the shorts because of all the little details that you see all the time, and this one
Mhm.
does not disappoint when it comes to just the unexpected little things throughout. It's only a couple of minutes, but you get packed with really funny details. Like, why is this show sponsored by asbestos? Every time the curtain drops, it
That
cuts
didn't age
to
poorly.
is asbestos, and it's like, oof. I guess they weren't going to be able to set it on fire, but wow.
That's crazy. It's like brought to you by the Surgeon General, who encourages you to have a cigarette every day.
Four out of five doctors recommend smoking with every meal.
But that is pretty wild for sure.
I
You
think that
know,
might have been the first thing that grabbed me when I rewatched this because I hadn't seen it in a while. And I was just like,
mm,
wait, did that just the first time I didn't quite catch it? I'm like, did that say asbestos? And then the next time I was like, oh my gosh, it totally says asbestos. I was like, so they've got a fireproof curtain for some reason, and they're making a point of letting us know, which is what I thought was really weird. Like, there had to be a reason that they like maybe, and I don't know because was it cheaper? Like, was that just a super cheap fabric of some kind? And they're trying to point out just the hodgepodge stitched together nature of this this production. It was very
or
interesting.
they paid a lot of money for that advertising.
Exactly.
Um, and from the beginning, the House of Mouse loves money. Um,
Mhm.
but you have Mickey putting on this show, and it's that slapstick physical comedy of look at Mickey putting on the show, playing how many instruments at once,
Right.
and like all the shenanigans of, and it's also at that point where some of these shorts had a lot of like repetitive motion and
Mhm.
patterns and sounds and visuals and stuff like that because this was still very early on in animation where there was some repetitiveness, but they had some fun. Like the music is fun, and
Very
seeing
vaudeville.
Mickey, yes, very vaudeville.
The two
Very,
dogs that should have been Dippy Dog were incredibly vaudeville.
yep. Well, and what's fascinating here is like they show Goofy in the audience, and Goofy is a lot older than I remember,
Yeah.
looking scruffy, and he needs his cheaters as well,
Yes. And he has no
which is
pants.
which is very interesting that they are just like, well, we'll slightly change him to a different character, make him much younger instead of, just making a different character. And I guess technically he does have a different name, but
Mhm.
this is indeed Goofy.
Oh
And,
yeah.
you
Same
know,
voice actor.
mhm,
Because then that voice actor does his voice for 50 years.
Good for that guy.
Just wild.
Well, and Goofy has so many animated shorts on Disney
Mhm.
Plus.
Oh my
He's up
gosh,
to
yeah.
all types of shenanigans. But like this is a really fun, sweet, simple short that throws in some music. And it was also really capturing the vibe of the time because a lot of the big studios were making these like Broadway melodies and stuff because sound that had like no plot and they were just playing
Right.
music and stuff like that. So even Walt Disney was picking up on that for sure.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, this is barely 5 years outside of the Alice comedies. So,
Mhm.
they'd already come a pretty long way if you really look at it
Yeah,
stylistically and, technology-wise, like the fluidity of the animation compared to just a few years earlier is pretty nice. I mean, you can see like they really were putting their eggs in that basket as far as the studio. Like we think animation's the way to go.
absolutely. And you know, you have these fun characters, and there's a reason they've all stood the test of
Mhm.
time. They all have their fun personalities and stuff like that. Pluto trying to get up to his shenanigans. And, it's a fun little show. It's short, it's only 7 minutes. So that's one of the fun things about these old animated shorts. It's like you can just watch a bunch of them and just have a good time, like we did.
Yep, exactly.
Was there anything else that in particular stood out to you, Patrice, about Mickey's review?
I actually, the only other thing that I think is worth mentioning is the amount of kittens they used for that 2 minutes. Like, there was a lot going on when, I don't remember what exactly prompted the cat and all her kittens to come up through this bottom of the stage, but they just, start wandering through the orchestra and getting all in Mickey and Minnie's way. And there's a lot going on in such a short period of time. Like, the
Mhm.
choreography of all the things that they had animating was kind of impressive for the time. I mean, you've got multiple kittens like making their own instruments, getting involved in what Mickey and
Mhm.
Minnie are doing, popping up in the piano. It was really cute. And I just thought that really did set the tone for the type of things that you're going to see going forward because they actually do the musical thing multiple times over the next like 5 years.
Yeah.
And every one of them kind of has something like this going on. Like there's always either a dog or a cat or, whatever, a sea lion popping in, crazy stuff like that. But I just thought the cats in particular were so many of them and so much going on. I really did appreciate the coordination of the animation going on there with the activity because that actually, for so short a sequence, was very fluid.
Well, and a couple layers here. Even 106 years ago, they know their audience. People love kittens.
I mean, who doesn't
Kittens are
love a
cute.
kitten? Kittens are adorable.
Yep. And also funny that they're causing some drama for some mice.
Yeah, kind
Just
of
wait
the
until they're
icing
older.
on the cake.
So, and it is complex when you have to incorporate so many moving characters in. Like back then, it's just like the amount of effort that it took to make each of these frames and being able to go in and then put these all into motion. And they're a fun bit of chaos to throw in because, if it's just them playing for 7 minutes, there's not a whole lot of drama there, but bring on
Right.
the kittens.
And I also love the choice to make it harder to animate. They made them all tuxedo kittens. They didn't just make them black or white or gray. They actually chose to give each of them a lot of detail, and I thought
Mhm.
that was very ambitious considering we're not talking a litter of kittens like that's 4 kittens. There were what, like 12 or 20 at one point. I mean, these kittens are just coming out of everywhere, and every one of them has at least 6 features on top of like their faces, and I thought that was
Mm.
just an incredibly bold choice considering what that meant logistically.
Walt Disney and crew just showing off, just
I
showing
don't
off with
worry,
the
we've got a whole
tuxedo
studio
cats.
of ink and paint ladies that can take care of this.
It's like, ha, we have people probably getting paid marginally okay, maybe, maybe,
Right.
maybe. But we do jump, what, 6 years into the
Mhm,
future, and we have Donald's nephews, which this has the story of Donald's sister, Gambella,
mhm.
sends her three sons, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, to visit their Uncle Donald. They prove to be quite a handful for Donald, even with help from his book on child rearing. So, Patrice, what are your general thoughts on Donald's nephews?
I was very much a Disney afternoon kind of kid growing up, so
Mm,
love Huey, Dewey, and Louie. I always loved the shorts when Disney Channel first came out because there wasn't a ton of actual new programming. You got to see
mhm.
all these shorts a lot. They'd play in between everything because there was no commercials. That was the whole point. So,
Yeah.
even at a very young age, I grew up watching all of these before DuckTales actually came out. So I've loved Huey, Dewey, and Louie for as long as I can remember, and it's fun to see the evolution of their characters, even though their personalities were pretty much spot on from the beginning. And they did really push Donald's buttons right from the beginning. It's fun to see their first introduction when they just come wheeling onto the scene.
Yep. Quite literally wheeling on
Yes.
the scene. All their little tricycles and
With croquet mallets, just like
yep.
tear it in like little bats out of hell. It's like, thanks, Dumbella. Literally just like, would you just throw them out of the car door? And
This is one of those moments where it's just like you might not have kids, but you're gonna judge
oh,
other
yeah,
people's parenting of
you're
said
judging her
kids
hard.
hard. And there's a collection of fun shenanigans here because they're rambunctious. They have a lot of energy. Donald's not ready for this.
Not
And
at
they're
all.
all like circling him, like trying to read through this book, trying to figure out what to do, which
Yeah, can we talk about that book for a second? Because what single dude just randomly has modern child training in his bookcase when this is clearly the first time he's ever watched the children because he's meeting them for the first time and he just happens to have this book.
I don't know how much luck, how much it did for him either.
Oh no, I love that it's like you can like when it's said at the end of it, like after all these things it has them try like soothe the savage beast with music. Try feeding them. They're just hangry. That might have
They're
been my
angry.
favorite part. When kids quarrel, they're probably just hungry.
Hey, that definitely was my brother's problem a lot of the times.
But what
For
duck
sure.
serves his duck nephews what looks like a duck? That did not even look like a turkey. It was a very
That,
thin bird. It very much looked like a chicken or a duck, and I got a lot of problems with that. It's like me
that
serving up a
was certainly one of the
chimpanzee.
things that one of the things that stood out to me. I'm like, looks like a really nice
Whew.
cooked bit of poultry
Yeah,
that these
they are
they're
fighting over.
birds. These birds are about to eat, and I'm like, cannibalism?
Oh
Is
man,
that
yeah.
is that what we're doing here in 1938?
I mean, they were little heathens to begin with, but let's just throw cannibalism in there. There is a lot of other really cool technical aspects of this too, though, because if
Mm,
you look at the style of Donald just in that like 3 year period, he changed a lot. He's still that a little bit elongated stylistically. He doesn't have the tufts of feathers on his head yet,
mm,
but just stylistically, he changed a lot in the 3 years since the black and whites and everything had come along. He was voiced by Clarence Nash, who did all the duck voices at this point, and he did all the duck voices for 50 years. Another guy, and he did them in all the languages too. They would
oh
phonetically
my,
spell out the script for him. So he would do it in French, Spanish, Japanese, German, all these languages in the duck speak because it was all just written out phonetically. But he did, Daisy, Huey, Dewey, Louie, he would just change it a little bit. He did Jiminy Cricket after that original voice actor died.
mm,
So he had a pretty prolific Disney career. And then also uncredited on this particular one is one of my favorite Disney legends, Wolfgang Reitherman. He was
yep.
an uncredited animator on this, and he did 101 Dalmatians. He was the director. He's responsible for a lot of my favorite movies of this time frame. So I think it's cool that this is kind of one of the things he got his start on was animating in this time frame. Also the colors on Huey, Dewey, and Louie, this is when they were still experimenting with it because that didn't really get locked down until DuckTales. They
Mm,
kind of went back and forth a lot. But if you look at the comics, sometimes they're all red, sometimes they're all black. In the shorts, they'd go back and forth between like, there might be red, yellow, and green. The red and green seem to always be consistent, but Dewey's blue wasn't really solidified until the 80s. So I think it's kind of cool to see that kind of stuff going on. But it's a fun little 7-minute introduction to what would be
mm.
some of the most iconic characters. I mean, I can't think of any characters more popular in the late 80s, early 90s than Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
Well, and that was a bold choice with this one being orange and red.
Yeah.
Um, it's just like I don't know if these are like so distinct enough to make these look like two
Mm.
different ducks.
Yeah, I think that's why they
But
very quickly switched to yellow.
well, and it's the colors are so rich and
Mhm.
vibrant in this, and that's great to see, especially them coming out of, the black and white animated films, and they all have their shenanigans. They're playing their music, they're eating, hopefully not a duck, but it looks like a duck.
It looks like a
And
duck.
Huey and Louie certainly became huge, especially when, like, I remember when I was a kid with DuckTales and stuff like
Mhm.
that. And, you know, they still have,
Yeah.
their own series that are really popular. And it's so funny because Donald's such an iconic original Disney character. And then realizing that for like a generation or so, he's probably less popular than his nephews.
Oh yeah. Well, even in DuckTales, he was just like every once in a while he'd come back from sea.
Yep.
Like he's in the Navy, so we'll see him once a season when he's on shore leave.
Sailor Duck. And, you know, this is certainly one of those age-old stories of man watches kids and kids run amok and
Mhm.
he has no idea what the hell he's doing. And it's a classic, classic setup for sure. And they certainly get a lot of fun out of that.
For sure.
Now, jump in 5 more years into the future with some more shenanigans and some pure chaos. We got Private Pluto, and we have Pluto as a guard dog on a military base. He's told that there are saboteurs and is assigned to guard a pillbox, gun emplacement. Before long, the saboteurs reveal themselves Chippendale, making their debut using the cannon-like gun as their own personal nutcracker. Which that's just
I love that concept so much.
so
Like,
on
look,
point. It's just like we're gonna crash a uh military site just so that we could crack our nuts.
yep. Like, look, this is a military operation, but we got important stuff here. These walnuts got to crack.
Absolutely. They're like, we don't care about your wars. We just need to eat.
We got to eat. We're not even storing
Which,
up for the winter. We're just eating right now.
which honestly, if you really think about, stop supporting war, just feed us. Seems like a
Yeah.
pretty, pretty powerful message, even
And
in
this was
2026.
right before they started like into the like what almost 10
Yeah.
years of propaganda films that they would do. This because this was before they started doing like Commando Duck and Out of the Frying Pan into the Firing Line, The Thrifty Pig, Chicken Little. Like all of those were very much directed at like don't start rumors during the war. You
Mm,
should buy war bonds. You know, salvaging stuff to make explosives. Like all of this is really bizarre stuff that we see in about 5 years after this. So this was very benign compared to how
yeah.
in your face, very like pushing the war agenda that they would get. But I'm glad that Chip and Dale got introduced in more of a like just a fun quirky way and not in one of the I don't think they would be as popular as they are today if they hadn't debuted when they did, because if it had been a few years later and they were 100% just identified with these propaganda films, I don't think they would have reached the status they are now, and that would be sad because could you imagine a world without Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers? Because I know I
Nope.
can't.
Which Chippendale,
The
which
Rescue Rangers.
between that and DuckTales is just like
That was the best
what
hour
a
of TV for years.
what a time. Which I love how so this is starting to really feel like Disney animation. Look and everything in detail. So you could definitely see the big leap in terms of just like the details of like the backgrounds and the
Mhm.
ground and stuff like that. I love how serious Pluto is with
Mhm.
his little military helmet. Very like World War I coded, which is very
Yeah.
interesting, seeing as we were in World War II
Yeah.
when this came out. And there's even shots where he's just like scowling with his helmet
Oh,
and everything.
the face and everything was hilarious. I love when he's doing his marching orders and he
Yep.
gets all pretzeled. Like it's just a lot of fun visual gags in this, which I mean, when you got two sets of characters that don't really have words, that's what you're gonna get. But he twists himself up and then he's like, he's told to be at ease. And then the guy goes, as you were, and he ties himself back up into a knot. Like those kind of gags are so funny. Like
Mm,
just visually, they're great. The animation on those kind of sequences is amazing when you really look at the detail that they had to go into because none of them look awkward. Like, you know how
mm-mm.
sometimes when things like that, where you're getting tied into a knot and stuff like that, features get out of place, like a foot looks too big or an arm looks
Yeah.
wrong. None of that ever happens here. And I think that's really impressive when you think about it, because even though this dog is twisted into all these positions, you don't get any of those awkward features that make it look tacky and like unfinished
Mm,
or low quality. Like the quality is there and the proportions are always right, which is very interesting.
absolutely. And it is very detailed and well done. And then you have so many fun physical gags with the cannon.
Oh yeah.
So, like, first off, you're like, what's going on here? And you're like this cannon just coming down and cracking nuts open. You're just like, ah, shenanigans. And, nothing's going to make a dog more upset than chipmunks. Um,
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, come on.
this dog's like, animal, animal. And so, like, it makes so much sense that Chip and Dale were introduced with Pluto,
Mhm.
who is an actual dog.
Right. Like
Unlike
he's a
Goofy,
dog's dog.
he's a dog's dog. Um, it's so weird. But like we could open up a whole entire can of
Oh
worms
yeah.
about that conversation. But you have like Chip and Dale hiding in the cannon, or like they're opening Pluto's mouth to shoot cannon in,
Oh my
and
gosh, I know.
like all of these things, and they're so full of shenanigans. They're so clever, and they just know how to really get underneath his skin for sure.
Mhm. I do like that it's not like in a malicious kind of we're trying to hurt the dog way too, because some cartoons like you get where like Wile E. Coyote is definitely trying to kill the Red Runner. Chip
Mhm.
and Dale aren't trying to kill Pluto. They're just trying to crack their nuts and they're just having a little bit of fun with him. And you can tell that their goal is not to hurt this dog. Their goal is just to screw with him and they get their nuts cracked. And that's one of the things I appreciate about this is that it isn't done in a mean way, it's done in a fun way.
A fun and mischievous way, because that's how Chippendale rolls for
Oh
sure.
yeah.
And chipmunks gotta eat.
Yep. I think it's cool that at the time, like they didn't. This isn't that voice. Like they were supposed to be a one-off, so this wasn't like voice actors that they thought were going to do this for a while. But I
Mm,
did watch a video that had the original audio and then the sped up audio, and that's a really fun thing to hear and see throughout this first 20 years of their being, because it wasn't really until about the 80s when Tress MacNeille started doing one of them, and I cannot remember the other voice actor's name, I'm sorry, but that they got like the same people doing the voice all the time. So it's interesting to hear the men and women doing their voices and then having it sped up, especially when they're singing, because they've got these great female voices singing for them,
mm,
and then they speed it up, but it just sounds like these little boy chipmunks that we've known for our whole lives. It's so funny.
yeah. Well, and it's so much fun because they do a lot with very little. Like the whole concept of this is just chipmunks with a cannon trying to mess with a dog. And there's not really dialogue much or here, and you just have some fun with it. And they drop the cannon on his helmet and the
Mhm.
nuts and are just being little saboteurs
Yep.
like they were described, which the US military's biggest issue is they have to deal with some chipmunks. I
I think they're sitting pretty.
I think they're sitting pretty for sure. Now our last short that we have is a legitimate 25
Yep.
minute short film here. Tells a story, tells a whole thing here, and that is Winnie the Pooh and the Blustery Day. Winnie the Pooh and his friends experience high winds, heavy rains, and a flood in 100-acre wood. And this is extremely relatable because
Mhm.
who doesn't get miserable and not want to deal with the weather?
I mean, seriously, this is a
As
yucky day.
as you could probably really speak to Patrice seeing as you're in Florida.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is probably why I related so much to this. As I like this one, and Pooh in the Honey Pot is the
Mhm.
one with the tut tut. It looks like rain and the little black rain cloud. Like I love these two. I watched them so much. I probably wore out the VHS as a kid because it's
Nice.
just this looks like it could be Florida, you know. And
Yeah.
not all the things you watch look like where you live, right? But these
Mm.
very much reminded me of where I live because of the weather.
Which New Jersey has been so erratic recently. We'll get a streak of 80 something degree days and then have a horrible rainstorm and tons of
Hmm.
wind and everything. And then it's 50 for a
And
couple days.
exactly.
And it's just like, God, stop. Will you stop? And this coming week, as we're recording this, we're gonna get hitting 89
Ooh.
in mid-April. And I'm like, why are you trying to kill me, New Jersey? Why are you trying to kill me? Apparently, a 100-acre wood was trying to kill Pooh and his pals,
Yeah,
with this crazy weather here for sure.
they were certainly trying to take out Piglet.
Poor Piglet.
Piglet, like this is, I think, like Piglet kind of gets shafted a lot just because of his size and his attitude toward his size. But I feel like in this one more than Eddie, especially with trying to give away his house, which
Well,
I
that
love that. I love everything about the house, the signs, everything.
so I found a house for Owl,
It
and
says,
it's like,
"Oh,
whoops, that's Piglet's house.
yeah."
Not anymore though.
And Piglet's like, "Well, yeah, it's a nice house. I guess you can have it." It's like, wait, what?
Poor Piglet. Which there's so many. Well, because like obviously you have all the voice actors who are iconic for these
Yes.
characters. Um, oh bother. Um, Sterling Holloway, John Fiedler, which also
Mhm.
I remember watching 12 Angry Men for the first time and
Mm,
realizing juror number two is just Piglet. And I'm like,
yeah.
wait a minute.
Well, on the Bob Newhart show, he was a regular, one of the patients, and I just every time it was so funny to hear him because that's just his voice. That's how he talks. So it's hilarious. It's like, okay, Bob,
Yeah, and you have
Dr. Hartley.
Hal Smith and Ralph Wright. You
Hmm.
even have
Thorough,
Sebastian Cabot doing the
yeah.
narration here, who I know from The Time Machine, and then obviously
Hmm.
Bagheera from Jungle
Yeah.
Book, and just
Sword in the Stone. He did a lot of narration work, but
mm,
you also get fun stuff like Bill Lee and Thurl Ravenscroft. So Bill Lee does the singing voice of Roger in 101 Dalmatians. So he
mm,
does a lot of the singing voices of stuff in this earlier time period. But Thurl Ravenscroft sang, Mr. Grinch, and
yeah,
it's very cool. And even Rue is Clint Howard.
yeah.
Like, how crazy is that?
What's crazy is like you look through IMDb and see all these pictures and like, oh, these are old, like much older actors. And like, bam, Clint Howard. I'm like, wait a minute,
Yeah,
pictures in color.
exactly.
And it's such a it's sweet and endearing story about perseverance and pushing through. And of course, the reason we did this particular short is because we get Tigger.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love me some Tigger. So I think it's cool that he just comes bouncing in on the scene, talking the ridiculous way that he talks, and
Mhm.
Pooh being the one to correct him cracks me up more than anything. Like he goes, Tigger's like heffalumps and woozles are going to be out. He's like, you mean elephants and weasels? He's like, that's what I said. And then you get that very elephants on parade sequence of
Yes.
heffalumps and woozles, very Dumbo-esque.
It was strange. And I'm like, did we just go on like an acid trip in the middle of this
Hmm.
storm for a bit here?
It's so
And
funny that they'd bring back that same stylized and very similarly looking characters, like, in this. I don't It's so weird to me because it does seem out of place, but they must have thought, "Oh, the kids will love this." And it's like,
I'm
it
sure
always
they
creeped
did.
me out as a kid. I did not like the Heffalumps and Woozles. Like that was my least favorite part until the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh came out and they made them more happy and like they were still kind of bad guys, but not like creepy bad guys.
Hmm.
They were more just like, 100 Acre Wood thugs, not like I don't know what they're doing in the middle of the night trying to come to my house kind of guys like they are in this. Like
Which it's such a strange like diversion in this
yes.
short with all this shenanigans. It's creative and fun and
Yes.
colorful and out there, and it's ambitious, and I can appreciate that. I do love how this starts with like that fun feeling of you're in this kid's room in the
Hmm.
library and Pooh's sitting on the bookshelf and stuff like that. And this really feels like we're going to be telling you a storybook story today. And classic
Yeah, I
Disney
love that.
always
Very
did that.
textured,
And
very tangible. You start in reality and then you get to go into the fantasy, and I really love that.
hey, honestly, if they brought back that storybook intro to all of Disney animation like they used to, I wouldn't be opposed to that.
No, not at all. They were beautiful. I mean, especially like Sleeping Beauty, Sword in the Stone, all of those started with such beautiful openings. And I really think it's a disservice to the movies not to start like that because it's just such a beautiful opening and it really gets you into the storybook mode.
I do think Shrek ruined it, probably.
I bet you that's probably exactly what happened. They're like,
Oh,
we can't
what a
do it now.
just wipes himself with a paper. The book's just like, well, sorry, Disney, ruined for you. But you get all these characters are so iconic for a reason, and Pooh's sweet and aloof, and Piglet is so nervous and just floating away on that chair on the
Yes, with his
water,
little spoon and his pot, bailing out nothing.
just trying to make ends meet, and Al being, you know,
Did
the
you, as an adult, listening to what Al's actually saying was so funny. I don't think I ever actually like listened to the things he was rambling about because he
mm,
said something about his aunt being surprised and then laying a seagull egg instead. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And then I'm really paying attention to what he's saying after that because it's like, whoa. Like, he's not only very pompous and full of himself and knows that everyone wants to hear my stories, but holy crap, they don't even make sense.
it's like it sounds like his aunt was sleeping
And it
around.
sounds like I don't think the scare is what made her lay a seagull egg. I think she was a little loosey goosey.
I think she was hanging out with some seagulls.
I think she spent some time at the shore.
And even just like the whole like Piglet and Owl's dynamic, because Owl is so obnoxious and confident and so full of himself. And
Hmm.
poor Piglet's like, oh Owl, I don't mean to complain, but I'm afraid, I'm scared. It's like, no, Piglet. It's been up and all that sort of
Yes.
thing. It's his very like boomer coded, just like,
Oh, yeah.
that's okay, just lace up and trudge on. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, guy.
Piglet's like, but an animal of my very small size. It's like, because he's like a tenth the size of everyone else. And then, Pooh, of course, taking in Piglet, and then let's all celebrate with a party at the end. Seems to be, the 100 Acre Wood style anyway. If they're not having a party and celebrating, then you don't have a Winnie the Pooh feature. Because it
Hmm.
seems like they're always at the end of these having their little ragtag parade and celebrating Pooh.
Yep, and just have to have that wrapping things up. I'm still looking at some of the stuff that Al said in this,
Oh my gosh,
and
I know. His
it's
quotes are
like
wild.
this is just a mild spring zephyr compared to the big wind of 67, or was it 76? I'm like, dude,
Dude, it's only
like 76
1968.
hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was the year my Aunt Clara went to visit her cousin. Now her cousin was not only gifted on the glockenspiel,
Yeah.
but being a screech owl also sang soprano in the London Opera. What? It just
Like
what?
everything he says is hilarious.
It's the ravings of a madman, but everybody
It
thinks he's
is.
the smart one.
I know, that's what's so funny. It's like they're all just like, "Oh, well, Al's smart. Let's go ask him." It's like, and then Al's house falls down. It's like, and we need to figure this out for you. You're the smart one. You figure it out. Not to mention
Mhm.
you're a bird. You could have flown around and figured this out much quicker than the donkey.
Well, and Eeyore is my favorite. And I think he also hits the vibe of most millennials, where everyone's like,
Yeah.
just everybody's depressed. And, you know, he good for him for being willing to go look for a new home for Owl, but like
Mhm. Yeah, that's
Al
who
has
you're gonna
like
put
to
on
your
that
point, Al
assignment.
has wings. He could have flown
He
and
could have
done
found
his own
something like,
thing.
and then poor Eeyore obviously can't read or spell because he thinks that trespassers will, says owl. There it is, right there. WOL. That spells owl. It's like, it's WIL, and no.
Oh my. And they have a lot of fun with the weather aspects of this story and everything. It has all the obviously classic characters and their classic shenanigans together. It's just a really sweet and endearing time because so have I had watched this before? Maybe, probably. Do I remember it? No. So I probably was like a very small child even if I did see this, but this felt like popping on Wallace and Gromit
Yeah.
for the first time and just realizing like now I know why these things are so beloved.
Mhm.
And this is such a charming story, and there's no wonder to me why these characters have stood the test of time. And I'll even, replacing voice actors, and they've found some great ones.
Mhm.
Um Jim Cummings is bigger, right?
Yeah. For
And
yeah, he
Brad
did them
Garrett
for all.
being Eeyore
Yes.
is
Spot
the
on.
the greatest voice casting in modern times. Um, everybody loves poo.
Perfect.
So
Just spent the last like week watching a Brad Garrett show that like no one else saw because it came out around the same time as Rules of Engagement. But he did a sitcom Till Death with Jolie Fisher, and it was 4 seasons, and he was
I
great the whole time.
I feel like I watched some of that. Was that like I distinctly remember him keep referencing Wicked, and then his
He
wife
did a
just being
couple
like,
times because she loves Broadway shows and singing, and he can't stand it, so he would make jabs about the different shows and stuff with her.
and he kept referencing it. It's like for somebody who doesn't like this stuff, you sure
Yes.
reference Wicked a lot.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
do remember that show actually. But no,
Yeah.
this is iconic
Mhm.
animated short film for sure. And I would definitely put this up there with like um wrong trousers and stuff like that.
Yeah,
That's like these are go-to animated shorts, and you should start if you have children, you should start showing these early so
for
they'll
real.
continue to watch them throughout their whole entire life.
I love that the Winnie the Pooh, as he evolved throughout the years, still did stay just as charming. Like they
Mhm.
didn't ever need to update. Like when they did the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh in the late '80s, early '90s, the animation style looks the same. Their voices are the same. Their mannerisms are the same. They didn't need to update it because the Hundred Acre Wood is a charming place, and
Yes.
there's plenty of fun to be had there. So, and even I know it was short lived, but they did that live action, not the puppet one, the one with the full-size people in animatronic costumes. I don't know if you ever saw Welcome to Pooh Corner.
I don't think so.
It's not on Disney Plus, and I don't know why they won't bring it back because it's so amazing. And the technology was stuff that they had kind of borrowed from Jim Henson a bit, like he had worked on it a little. They did that in Dumbo with these live action animatronic suits. And the beginning of every episode was just like the beginning of this, with you start off with a narrator actually in a
Mhm.
rocking chair in the playroom. You know, it shows
Nice.
each character on the shelf. Like it had all the older styled stuffed animals in Christopher Robin's playroom. And like I said, every iteration is the same, just a little different, and it has not lost its charm and it doesn't get boring. I think it's adorable and I love it.
Absolutely. I loved watching this, and I would like to have, because I know they have collection released on physical
Mhm.
media with this in it, so I will be getting that for sure.
Yep, I
But
had it on VHS.
there we go. But Patrice, thank you so much as always for joining me and giving me a fun quartet of movies to go check out.
Oh, you're welcome.
And next month will be, well, there will be Love is in the Air. And we'll be talking about 1940s Pride and Prejudice, Johnny Fedora, and Alice Bluebonnet from 1946, Bongo from 1947, and High Society from 1956. So there'll be more fun to be had next month with another
There'll be
quartet of films.
plenty of shenanigans next month.
Absolutely. And thank you all for listening. Make sure to like, comment, and share on this episode. What is your favorite iconic character introduction from animation? There's so many iconic characters for sure. And make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. The SPDM Crew Podcasting Network is ever expanding. So many great shows with all different types of interest. And if you want to be a guest on one of these shows or you have an idea for your own show, make sure to reach out to us on our website. And if you like our logo, check out High Flyer Creative for all your digital marketing needs. But most importantly, thank you as always for tuning in and supporting the Wasteland Spotlight here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network.